Hello, Jennifer from Aster and Ann, and today we are talking all about our large Luella Clutch. This is it here, but before we go and have a look at what you get inside, let's check out some of the things that you can actually do with the Luella Clutch. This is one here that I have embellished with some clamshells. So I've stitched them all on by machine and have done some then stitching across the whole kit, whole Luella Clutch, to give it some interest. So you can see in the sides and around the back. With the Luella Clutch, the large size, it does have this magnetic closure which just unclips that way, so you don't have to undo this buckle. It is magnetic, which makes it super easy to use. Another way that I have embellished our Luella Clutch is with hexagons. So you can see I've just used fairly basic shapes. I've got hexagons here, and then I have stitched all along or around across the hexagons, creating a really interesting effect with the thread. This one, I've just taken some circles of fabric and I've done some some hand enhancing with some hand threads around there, just to make that look a little different. Another one by hand is this one, but I've stenciled the background first, and then I've just taken some yo-yos and stitched those on by hand and added in some decorative embellishments that way. And of course you can always use up your ribbons and laces and trims and things to stitch them all over, because our kits come all flat and you can stitch all of that on easily before we make it up. I love this one. With this one I have enhanced some of it with some decorative stitching as well. So that's just another way that you can use our Luella Clutch. Okay, let's take a look at what you get inside our Luella Clutch Large. We have our body piece, and now you can see how we're able to embellish some of those things before, because we've got this nice big flat surface that we get to use. It comes with a zipper pocket already stitched in. Now sometimes, depending on the type of embellishing that I'm doing, I might take that off and then reapply it, reattach it back later. So you can see the eyelets or grommets have already been pre-punched in there as well. So they're all ready to go for the snap-on handle. So our snap-on handle, so it's got these little, you can easily attach them with the springs there. And we have our magnetic closure, as you can see. Magnetic closure, some pins and some needles, and of course we have some instructions. So now we'll get ready to put it together. All right, the first thing that we need to do is, after we've done our embellishing of course, is to stitch on our closure before we do our side seams. Now with this one I have used some spray starch just to take out any creases that I have there. So I recommend doing that for any of our kits that have been folded up for a time. Just use some spray starch and a dry iron, and usually on the wrong side, and that just takes away any of the creases that are in there. So back to doing a closure. So it really is just a matter of popping it in the center of like our V, the very center of the front there. We're just going to stitch the closure on. You can do it either by machine or by hand. All of our hardware does have pre-punched holes in there, so it makes it easy for stitching on. And I would just say one thing too, sometimes it's a good idea just to pop the needle through, just to take out any, if there's any excess bits of leather inside there. So I'm going to just pin that on, and I like to just get it in the middle, point in the middle, and we're really just looking at having it fairly even around from the point there. So pop a pin in, and the way to work out where the other side of our closure goes is we've got that pinned. Now we'll pin this together, and then we'll mark where it needs to be. As you can see, the construction of Luella Clutch is super easy, just those 4 sides. So just give it a little bit of a squeeze together. Pop that back on there. And then I like to just do a little squash and mark where this one needs to go. So take that away. Try and make that so you can see, and just pop the pin in there. And then take out the pins. And now we're ready to stitch on our closure. Alright, so I've opted to stitch this on by machine this time. So as I said earlier, you can do it either way, but this is going by machine. I've got my machine set up with, I'm using Home Deck thread by Wonderful. So I've got that there, and I have Deco Bob in the bobbin. I've lengthened my stitch length, so I've got it set at 4.2 right now, and we will see, hopefully I've got it just right. So we're going to go through the holes, and so far looking good. Okay, so just working our way around, and just roll that up. Sometimes, depending on what your embellishing is like, you might want to do a contrasting thread. For this one, I'm just doing matching. Now, I'm going to go around twice, just because I like to have a bold look with my thread. So really, depending on what I'm doing, it can either be sort of that bolder look or more subtle look. You can see it's quite easy to stitch with. I am using a size 16 needle. Alright, just tie that off. And cut that away. And we can have a look at that. So that's the top one done, and we'll do the other side. So for this one though, I do need to change my foot, so I need to pop on a zipper foot so that I can stitch all the way around. And I do want to have my needle on that side. So same thing again, I'm leaving it as the 4 stitch lengths, and we will go through. Perfect. Alright. Again, really easy to stitch through. And I will go through around twice so it's the same as the other side. Get through those holes and back. Alright, there we have the closure done. Okay. Now we just need to repin it again and do the sides. Okay, so as before, when we pinned our side seams together in preparation for popping in the closure, just pin them back again and then stitching the side seams. Again, depending on what you're doing as far as thread goes, you can make a feature of the thread, or you can have it blend in depending on what your embellishing was like or is like. So pin together, and now we will stitch it together. Okay, so I've popped my actually, if I've got my open toe foot back on, that would have to be my favorite foot. I've popped that back on, and I have shortened the stitch length back to a 3, and I'm sticking with this same thread that I'm using, so I'm going to have it as a feature. And I've got this heavier weight on the top and the finer weight on the bottom, and just going to stitch it. And because I have the heavier weight as the one that I'm going to have on the top, it will dictate a little bit how I stitch this together. I've got that side, and because I want to have the heavier weight showing, I'm going to stitch the back side this time this way. If you were doing it so that you had exactly the same weight threads, then I would be stitching it from the middle side. So you can see what I mean. I have done the two outsides with the heavier thread and going back to the other part of the back. Ready. Taking out my pin. And now back to the front. Okay, and there you have it. That's our Luella Clutch stitched together. Alright, so now we've got it all done, let's snap on our handle. So just folding the eyelets together, and easy as that. So one side. And do the other side. So just hold the two together. pull back the clasp. Got it. There we are. And close it up. And there we have our Luella Clutch.